Welcome to the Made in China podcast, where we explore the evolving perception of China over the last decade. I'm your host, Navruz Karimov. In this episode, we are joined by Firdavs Sharifi, a 28-year-old cardiovascular and hybrid surgeon born in Dushanbe. Firdavs has a unique journey from studying medicine in China to trading medical goods between the PRC and Tajikistan. Today, we will delve into his experience and insights at the intersection of healthcare and business relations between China and Central Asia. Firdavs, welcome to the show.
Oh, hey there, Navruz. It's really nice to see you and meet you here. And thank you for inviting me for this podcast. And it's really fun to do something like this, except of the hospital job,
Can you tell us about your background a little bit and why did you go to China for your education?
Well, I graduated high school just as a usual high school teenager in here. And then my brothers actually both of them are businessmen. They went to China a long time ago, around 20 years ago. And after high school, they decided to take me along to the board, And in 2011, when I went to China, it was a great opportunity to go to universities because it was really easy for us to apply as a foreigners. You just had to pay the tuition fee and without any exams, just get into university.
What did you study there?
I graduated medical bachelor and bachelor of surgery. It's an MBBS course. It's 5 years plus 1. I did my internship there. Well, basically, I graduated in med school there.
Mm-hmm. And what are the big differences between the medical system in China and medical system in Tajikistan?
Well, medical system in China is more like a medical system in Europe and America, but not all the universities. Personally, my university was top 10 in the whole country in medical sphere. And the difference is there are two types of systems to study medicine. Basically, there's 7-year ones and 6-year ones. They call them MBBS, Medical Bachelor and Bachelor of Surgery. And as we have it in here, the Soviet system is when you study medicine for 7 years and then you go through the residencies and internships, and basically you study the same, but the systems and the years are different.
Okay. Can you share any interesting story from China?
Well, I went to China in 2011 and I came back in 2019, end of 19. I got lucky to come back right a week before pandemic started. So almost 10 years, and there are so many interesting stories. For example, first day of my university, and I have this dream always in my since I was a kid, always had a dream to go abroad and have this international vibe, international community. So I go there. I went into the class. And I felt like I'm the only foreigner there. Well, it was an international batch. All of the students were foreigners, but I see people divided into two groups. Basically, there are like 35 Indians and 35 Somalis. And yeah, they're great people though. They're really, really great people. And my expectations weren't like my whatever it came to me, but it was fun. It was fun. The cultural exchange between Indians and Somalis, and then I'm the only Tajik in between. Actually, I'm the only Tajik since 1948 who graduated med school in China. There are students who graduated medicine in China, but only in Chinese, and most of them are Chinese medicine, like traditional Chinese medicine. But international medicine, I think I'm still the only Tajik who graduated from China as a medical student and made it to become a doctor. Usually people, when they study abroad and they study medicine, they end up doing something else.
Wow, that's a fascinating story. And how did you get into the logistic business during your studies? I guess it happened that time.
I've never saw myself as a businessman, to be honest, but when responsibilities came, you had to do something. I was a student and I had to pay my tuition fee. As I said before, that the good thing about China is that back in the days, we didn't have to have any kind of exams, the entrance exams. We just had to pay the tuition fee and, well, the dorm fee to get enrolled into university. Back in the times, it was 30,000 RMB. It was about $5,000 per year. that it was just tuition fee, and I had to, feed myself. And well, obviously my brothers helped me a lot through from my medical years. But back in the days, as a foreigner in China, it was so many opportunities to work and so many opportunities to do businesses, even the small businesses, just to keep up with, pocket money, or just save some money for the rent, save some money for the good clothes, good food. And my student experience was totally different from the ones that you could have. I used to go to restaurants every day. I used to buy clothes every month. It was something different because it was good income.
Okay, it came from logistical business?
It didn't come just from logistical business. It also came from teaching English, right? I had to do a lot of things.
Yeah, it's a very popular thing there to teach English.
Yeah. It was easy because, the university, and you have some spare time, and you have to use it to study. But I used to use it to teach English. After a while, it got a little bit harder because the more you are into medical school, third grade, fourth grade, the subjects become more difficult. And well, I had to do something because I had to study and I had to pay my bills. So I decided, why not? Every summer I come back to Tajikistan. So my parents are here, and I could do something. And I had a lot of friends, a lot of Tajik friends, Chinese friends. The good thing about Chinese people, they're very, very, very friendly. The more you hang out with them, the more you meet them, the more you feel like they kind of want to help you. As a foreigner, they're very guestful, especially at my area of China. I was in Northeast. It was very close to Russia. People in China, in South and in North, they're totally different. They have different mentalities. Southern people are more, and Northern people are more guestful, and they really do want to help some foreigners, and they're very friendly. And I think it happened because over the years, there are more foreigners in South and North. But later on, foreigners start coming to the north side of China as well.
As a person who was living there for 9 to 10 years, can you tell me about your perception of China, not only including people, but let's talk about, for example, business sphere there. There was a common conception of China 15 years ago where the country was perceived as a factory for cheap toys, for cheap goods and cheap labor. And was it like this back then when you were inside? And how did it change during these last 50 years?
All right. I came right at the time when it was the middle. They were getting out of that cheap toy store factory place, and they were moving towards building something very good, a bigger empire or bigger business empire. And they developed really, really fast. I mean, one day you wake up, you see something different. The other day you wake up, you see something different. And the people are hardworking. They're really, really hardworking. But it was a good tactic. What I noticed when I was in China, there were less foreigners back in the days when I just went there. Less foreigners. And we used to go to some hospitals, or I used to go to some private hospitals or some companies, for example. So what did they do? They invited specialists from different countries, paid them good, they treat them good, and they just learned from them. Whatever they learned, and they added their own experience in any sphere and just developed something unique. That's why back in the days, you could say, oh, this thing is made in China. Right now, you'd be like, oh, this Chinese stuff actually good. So in any sphere, in the medical sphere, in, producing sphere, producing any kind of goods products, they've become better and better day by day.
So the goods are actually getting more sophisticated.
Yes. And to be honest, there's this thing I've seen with my own eyes. Back in the days, whenever we used to ship something to back to Tajikistan.
What were you shipping?
Sneakers. Yeah, you could buy a lot of AJs. There's a thing for shoes in China called AA. AA is a good copy of something. Sometimes the copy is so good that you cannot differentiate it from the original, but it's a lot more cheaper.
It's called luxury copy here in our stores.
Yeah. Luxury copy. There you go. So I used to send sneakers. I used to actually sell shoes from south of China, and I used to sell them in north of China.
Because there are a lot of foreigners.
Because there's a lot of foreigners, and a lot of you Chinese people used to buy it from me too as well. I've never lied that it's a original, but yeah, we had some.
What was the bargain? Like you buy for $10 and sell it for $50, like something like this?
Well, $10 back in the day. If you don't say the exact amount of money, you could say something like that. Not 50, but maybe 30, and it would be cheaper for friends, All right. So within China, everything is easy. All right. They developed a better system. They worked on it, day by day. The only problem is the customs in here. I don't think we have those companies that, except of this small thing called Tespos. Back in the days, it was there as well, but it's very expensive. Tespos was very expensive to ship things with by plane.
How much was it?
I mean, you could buy a $30 thing, and it would be $30 for shipping it. Yeah, I mean, it was expensive, but it's obvious because it was by plane. And we found out that we could just, whatever goods we have, if it's a small amount, if we don't have like a big container of things, we can buy or rent some space in the trucks. And they would count it for their own benefit as well. If it's beneficial for them to count it by kilo, they would count it by kilo. If it's beneficial for them, if it's a big stuff, if they count it by square meter inside the container, they would count it like that. So we used to just ship it there. But the only problem, as I said, it was the customs in here, because if I ship something from China, back in the days, it used to take a month or 2 weeks.
Not good for perishable goods.
Yeah, it's not good. That's why the only problem is if you want to do a business in here, you have to gather your client base and you have to supply by the demand, right? People don't have patience. Simply, people don't have patience. I mean, if I would say I would sell you this glass for, twice cheaper than you want to buy it in a store, but it will just come in a month, you'd be like, I'm just going to go buy it. That's how you lose a client.
Did it change from 2011?
It changed a lot. There were different companies that you could send goods to Tajikistan faster. But if you send them from Urumqi, for example, send them from Urumqi because it's closer to Kashgar and the border is closer, it would be faster. And you would have to know some good logistic companies, because the logistic companies, the trucks or the people who own the companies, they have friends in the customs. They just have the line and just, get their stuff easy.
Is there any medical, because you're involved in medical business, any medical technologies that you introduced to Tajikistan?
Later on, there was this company called Mindray. It was just a small thing. It was unexpected in the beginning. It was, I think, 2017 or 18. With my brother, we went to Expo in Guangzhou. Every year, there's an Expo in Guangzhou with the different type of stuff. So I went to the medical section and I saw this ultrasound, Doppler ultrasound. It's an ultrasound for the vessels. I was thinking, if there's something like this, because in Tajikistan, they're always, back in the days, people thought that the European stuff, like the European companies, are always better and less longing. But just because they've been never introduced to a good quality Chinese product. But there are so many good products. There's a thing, it came back to my point that there's a thing I told you I've seen in my eyes back in the days, whenever they're shipping goods, and in the boxes, they were written only for Tajikistan and only for USA. It's the same thing, but different quality. And that is because we demanded such thing back in the days. In our businessmen, they used to get a lot of cheap stuff and used to bring it here. And it's understandable. Lucky for us, companies started doing this, representative things and consultant things, right? Like, for example, I go to a company in China and I know this kind of company or this kind of thing can be needed in China. I mean, in Tajikistan. I'll be making a contract with them. I'll be just a middleman. I'll be representative of the company. Yeah, I would say like, look, I would find you hospitals, so I'll find you customers who would like to purchase these products, and I would put something on top of it. That's it. Or you could give you some percentage of the income. So that's how we started bringing some of the ultrasound machines in the city.
Was they already introduced it in the hospitals?
Yeah, our hospital, for example, they have it, 2-3 of those machines.
Can you tell in what hospital they work?
I work in the Republican Scientific Center of Cardiovascular Surgery. One of a kind center. There's no such centers in the whole country. It has a big patient inflow. So we needed this kind of things, especially vascular surgery. There's only one vascular surgery department in the whole country.
And it's all powered by Chinese technology?
Well, not all of it. We get things from different countries as well. But yeah, most of the things that we use the Chinese.
You were
machines.
mentioning that collaboration between Tajik business and Chinese business was just like companies requesting cheap stuff from China and then they ship it in a separate box with lower quality. But now you said, as your mindset changed, that you have to become a representative or a middleman. I want to ask, do a lot of people do the way you do it now? Like, how does this trade between China and Tajikistan work?
Well, that's the thing. People are just starting to do this kind of things. For example, since the moment we have tax-free for the electric cars, people who were quick enough and smart enough and not lazy enough, they just got through the companies. I mean, just simple students, simple guys who graduated in China, online found some emails or the, contacts of the factories that produce electric cars. The good thing about Chinese people or Chinese factories is that if you're the first and you begin to work with them, and if within your contract, within your oral contract or a written contract, doesn't matter. You say that I would be the only person in this country who would be bringing your products. Between the businessmen, there is no any kind of contract, written legal contract. So if you are a factory and I'm coming to you and I'll be like, let's do business, I'm going to buy like 10 cars from you. Next time, if anybody would come contact you and they would say they shipping it to Tajikistan, you would say, go find this person and order it through him.
Sort of monopoly thing, but
it's sort of a monopoly thing, but it's a Hunger Game. So you just have to not be lazy and start digging your own path.
Do you think this kind of trend will continue into the next decade?
This is just the beginning. We will start bringing the better quality things, for example, and with this rope, right? We are a small country. If we have different type of businessmen doing the same thing, it would be a chaos. So I think if it's 2-3 people who are having a competition between each other, bring goods from China, for example, specific goods, right? Like you and I, for example, we bring, let's say, laptops. We can keep the fee at one level.
That's monopoly.
Yeah, we could keep it is a monopoly, but this is how you do a business in here. This is how you do a business in here, because if the goods price would drop, no one would have interest in it. That's the first thing. And secondary, you would slowly go bankrupt. I'm not saying it's everyone should do their own thing, right? But just don't come into it with your own rules. Don't come in with it with your own
Do you
power.
maybe anticipate any shifts in goods that will be imported in Tajikistan, or maybe do you anticipate any industries that are gonna dominate in the Tajik-Chinese trade?
Well, since you mentioned it, actually, it's a work in process, right? It's a work in process, but to be honest, there's slightly a thing that I want to do to change people's mind, to help them to get a better healthcare, not better, at least better in financial way, and also to do good for them. I mean, obviously, you could see that an average income of a person, a middle class person in Tajikistan, how much? 4,000, 5,000 as well?
Average? No, 2,500.
Well, yeah, there you go. 2,000, you know better. 2,500, right?
It's including people living in capital.
Yeah, that's
It's at
actually true.
$250 approximately. Yeah.
Worldwide, one of the most problems of the population of the world is heart disease.
Yeah, cardiovascular.
Yeah, I mean,
Certain-
the thing is, I don't see my work as a businessman. Seriously, I have a big passion for my work, actually. There are certain things I quit doing because I wanted to spend more time. Even my job was less financially good.
Is it medicine less financially profitable than trade with China?
Yeah, I mean,
Selling sneakers.
a businessman would always have more money than a doctor, especially here. Always. Because a businessman can make, let's say, if he get lucky, he can make 10K a day, 20K a day. Well, first things first, we don't do it for the money. Firstly, we do it for the benefit of the people, right?
Okay, and how does it connect it with your anticipation of industry that's taking over?
Okay, that's where the interesting part comes. Recently, we went to Dubai, right? It was me and a professor, and there was this expo in Dubai, and they had this medical spheres, right? If you would be a businessman, if you would bring something from Europe or America, you know how the quality is. You know how to operate with these things, and you know that it has, it's, for example, FDA approved.
Mm-hmm.
There is a thing called FDA approved for medical products, right? Or a lot of products. And you would see something Chinese just because of the misconception of the people, right?
Uh-huh.
Misconception of the people, you wouldn't even consider that. But when I was in China, when I was in Chinese hospitals, right?
This is the mentality of Tajik that still,
Not just Tajik, people from Central Asia as well.
like, they still believe in that.
They still believe in that. Until now, there are certain things that imported in our countries. They're still lower quality. They're still lower quality.
So there is a basis for that.
Yeah, so you have to, in order to just get this thing going, you just have to slowly make a plan, change people's minds,
Okay.
I mean, who is building our buildings? You could see the Chinese characters all the way in the city, right? Obviously, if people from higher positions, they would think that Chinese people would make something bad. They wouldn't hire them to build the building, right?
Maybe because they give them loans.
The thing is, they could give them loans, and we could take loans from China and order, the workers and the specialists from different countries and using their loans, right?
That doesn't work like that, because in a contract, it's like,
It's been working like this for the entire time. I mean, we can take loans from Russia, right?
no, but Russia is a different example.
That's what I'm saying.
But China is a different example, because
but China, they know, and the people know, our people know as well. I mean, high status people, that if they want to, they can make good stuff. That was my point. I know. I'm sure. I know, because once you go and once you live in China, you could actually see they would do anything if you just say them to do it like this. Like, let's say this microphone. I want it to be beautiful, but I want it to be working for maximum 1 month. They will just do it. They will just do it to you. And you could ask them, I want a higher quality of that. They would just do whatever you want. Because they have the plans. They know they will just supply and whatever by your needs. Why? Because they put a higher customer service for them. The more they did over the years, more people understood that we could get anything from China. Even the bigger companies. Basically, if they understood, why can't we? Why can't our people? So back to the point of problem. What was the problem in here, right? The problem is, first we started with the average income, right? And then the payment for the official payment for example, putting a stent. You know, whenever people have heart problems, basically it called the disease called ischemic heart disease. Ischemic heart disease is whenever the vessels that supply blood to the heart, to the muscles of the heart, they get narrowed, they get smaller, right? Because diabetes, because some people have high lipid density. They, you know, especially in Tajikistan, we eat osh top and all that together, and we drink the Coke on top of it. So obviously, it's harmful. And over the years, men and above 50, these are the risk factors, and the smoking people have the higher chance of getting ischemic heart disease. Now, imagine it's a less invasive procedure without doing an open surgery. And we put stents. Stents are the small titanium, making the vessels go wider, and they stay inside the vessel. So there would be a better blood supply. So my point is, this kind of procedures and these stents themselves, they're very expensive. Even though we call it new technology, right? They're still expensive. Almost $2,000 to put one stent.
And with our salaries.
Right?
It's impossible to afford that.
People gather, take loans, go to banks. I mean, obviously, it doesn't matter how much you have. You have a lot. You don't have anything. Your health is most important, right?
What's your plan here?
So my plan is as we went to Dubai, there was this FDA-approved company. They make their own stents, right? Their own balloons or dilation. And we're talking about importing things from there as well. Because, for example, in China, one stent could cost $100 tops. And there are patients who need 4 or 5 stents or 3 stents, and it would be a lot cheaper. Mm-hmm. I'm a little bit controversial here because I want to get into business and make it cheaper. And a while ago I said you don't come to their own rules. But this is a little bit different because I think it's firstly beneficial for the people.
So the plan is to start importing of those stents.
Yeah, right now we're using all over the hospitals that they're using stents, and they could do endovascular procedures. Everyone is using the stents from the United States called Medtronic.
In Tajikistan.
Yeah.
That's why it's $2,000.
I mean, yeah, that's why it's expensive. I mean, with all the taxes, with all the things. I mean, I gave you a rough fee for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's very expensive. So I asked around from the doctors who actually do that, right? I'm a traditional surgeon, and they are endovascular, that's what you call them. I asked them, what if you bring this Chinese stuff? It's a lot more cheaper. And, you know, the more you give away, because out of 10 people who has to go through stenting, 5 of them choose not to.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, if you do it cheaper, it will be beneficial for those people. Secondary, we would have more patients. So I asked the doctors why we cannot do that. They said, the moment our people hear the stents are made in China, mm-hmm. because we have to tell them. Even in China, in the Chinese hospitals, we used to go there, and we see this procedure. When I was an intern, they used to tell to the patient there are 3 types of stents. There's Americans, there's Japanese, and there's Chinese. Obviously, the duration of the work 2 years, right? But this is something shouldn't concern a patient, because first things first, even a healthy person doesn't know how long they're going to live, right? Mm-hmm. Secondary, even though after 5 years, maximum, the Americans, we have to change those stents as well, right? Back in the days, it was maybe like 6-7 years ago. Back in the days, the maximum usage of the Chinese stents were 2 to 3 years. And Americans was 4 to 5 years. Now they developed better technologies, and they learn new things. They're FDA approved, and they have the same capability of the other stands from other countries.
So this is the main risk that you consider, the reaction of the patients.
Yes, this is what the doctors are saying, that the moment they hear is from made in China. Because let's say a guy from a family from Wahdat, he has 2 children. They work in Russia, and their father is here working, and here and there. And one day he's old. He's having heart problems. He comes and he has to go through procedure, and he doesn't have financials. So obviously what they do, they take money, they take a loan, or they whatever saving they have, they use it after that. It's more stressful.
Do you see any other risks, like, I don't know, you said customs may be a huge risk, and then you have to find a good logistic company. Can you go through all the story that you've been telling us today, and summarize what can be done to maximize the profit of this trade with China, and then what we can do to minimize all the risks?
I'll tell you something. I mean, I didn't want to go into the politics, but there's always a little bit you have to go through it, because you're getting something from a country where everything is systemized, civilized, and you have to bring it to a place where you have to have your own connections, or you have to give away something here, give away something there. Usually why people, businessmen, burn out. Like, for example, there are a bunch of guys, they're creative, are willing to put to work, but there's something whenever they try to go up, something keeps them down.
This something is a little bit of higher power.
Not just higher power, actually not the higher power, it's just same people who work in those fields, right? Because it became such a hard time right now in the country. Everyone has to do something in order to get something, make an average living, to help their family, to feed their family, right? It's understandable as well. I know that not everyone who work in, for example, customs or any kind of different country companies, they're like bad. They make bad decisions, and they sometimes maybe like press here and there, just because they have to do their own thing as well. They have their families, they have their health problems, right? As my mentor says, it's 2 ends of the same line. I'm trying to do good for a living. Person who is not letting me, he's trying to, or letting me, but he's taking something from me. He's trying to do the same. That would be a little bit problematic. On the other side, if you have good connections, willing to share, you're in a position to help me out. I share some of my things from the pocket with you. Help me out. I get it. It's nothing illegal, but I help you to help me.
Sort of illegal. Maybe not officially, but yeah, it counted.
What other ways we have? We have to change the entire system.
Like reforms in every...
But we cannot do that. Hopefully, recently, actually, I'm seeing a lot of new things, a lot of facilities and faculties that deal with this kind of things. They're trying to normalize things, actually.
Can you elaborate?
Can I elaborate on that? For example, no taxes for electrical costs. I'm going to come back, because it's for me, it's wow. For 10 years, we cannot do that. We don't have to pay tax when Uzbekistan has to pay 110%. That's a lot. So it's actually a good thing. So see, even in that, I think it helped a lot. It helped to change the city. It helped,
So we need more tax-free regimes.
Tax-free regimes. I mean, obviously, whenever you go to the customs, you have to wait in lines, and it's a long procedure. It's still better. It's still better than before.
Okay. What do you think the role of China was in Central Asia, and how do you perceive it now? And are we getting actually in a worse position because we are more dependent on China? Or what do you think, like, the role of China in Central Asia is for the good of the people, or there are something like, risks?
I think, every time, if I've heard this question a lot of time, and every time I hear this question, there's one thing that comes to my mind. I've read it somewhere that Napoleon said, let China sleep, because once it's wake up, it's going to tremble the world. That was Napoleon's words. Obviously he meant it as a powerful country, but if you think about it, they are taking over everything. Most of the industries, they are taking over the bigger companies. They're taking over the manufacturing companies, I mean, they've been using it, but they're using it as becoming one of the highest levels, right? Before, we knew that it was made in China, and we were like, okay, now slowly getting into that thing that, okay, this is made in China. It's actually nice. Huawei, come on, it's better than iPhone right now. I mean, obviously, who knew that a Chinese phone would be getting to the level of an iPhone?
So what you're saying is we just have to adopt and develop our own policies.
Yeah, we have to. That's the thing. If we dance with someone, we have to make our own moves, and we have to know our own values, right? We have to know we have to make our positions clear. All right, we're doing a trade with you. We don't have to owe someone something. For example, like, let's say I helped you out with something and there's quid pro quo, right? You owe me something right now. So we don't want to get into that. We can make trades. Also, we could develop our own things to, it would be a dual trade.
What can we sell to China? Fruits?
Obviously, I mean, fruits, the Chinese cuisine and the Chinese people's taste is a lot different than ours. So I don't think
a dual trade sounds like a very futuristic.
Yeah, dual trade is very futuristic. But if you use their own weapon, let's say, we learn. We have our people have capability of learning faster way. The only problem with us is we're lazy people. Sorry to say that they're lazy. We are okay with a minimum wage when there's so many opportunities to get up, to work on it, to get a better position, get a better place. And I think education-wise, we could learn a lot of new things and go to China and be as a specialist as well, because the doors are always open. If I want to go to Dubai or I want to go to the United States to work as a surgeon, I have to pass through all these exams, documentation. It takes a really long time. But in China, I could do it a lot more easier. Why? Because the doors are open now. There's going to be a time when the doors are not going to be open. So I think we have to use the opportunity, seize the moment, one shot.
On this inspirational line, let's finish it up. Thank you, Firdavs, for coming to the show. It was a very fascinating story, filled with interesting
curveballs,
plot twists. Yeah, Chinese goods are actually getting better, but the perception is not changing, and it has the basis in it that we still consume the lower quality stuff, and hopefully with your business that it's gonna go good, and we have less cardiovascular diseases in the country. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Appreciate it.